Good day everyone, and we will be discussing Chapter 13, Continuous Improvement in Training. So let's talk about the learning objectives. Number 1 is understand the importance of quality assurance in training programs. So before you can improve something, you have to understand what makes it good in the first place. So quality assurance in training is about ensuring that the program consistently meets a high standard. The next one is apply feedback systems in continuous improvement process in training. So once you understand what quality of objective one is, we need a system to measure it and document the results. This is where feedback systems comes in. Collecting feedback from trainers and trainees allows you to identify what's working and what's not. The last objective is explore innovative strategies and best practices for effective training delivery. This final objective is about growth and future proofing that ensures the training doesn't become stagnant and continues to meet the evolving needs of the learners. So, let's talk about our topic. Continuous improvement in training is a systematic and ongoing process to enhance a training program's quality and effectiveness. So, it is a systematic approach to consistently enhance training programs' effectiveness, relevance, and overall quality. It's not a one-time fix, but a cyclical process of planning, implementing, evaluating, and refining training initiatives. The goal of this topic is to make small incremental changes over time that lead to significant improvements in how people learn and perform. So let's jump on the importance of this topic now. It is crucial for training programs because it ensures they remain effective and aligned with the changing needs of an organization and its employees. Why? Because the first one is improve performance and productivity. So when training programs are continuously refined, they become more effective at teaching skills and knowledge employees that need to excel. This leads to high productivity, better work quality, and fewer errors. Also, it enhances employees' engagement. So, when employees see that their feedback is being used to improve the training, they feel more valued and engaged in their own development. This can also boost morale and reduce turnover. As for me, I love languages, words of affirmation, so it really works well talaga, and it can make you productive when they using your feedback. No? The last one is fostering a learning culture. So, implementing a continuous improvement process for training models, a culture of lifelong learning and growth. This encourages employees to adopt a small and similar mindset of seeking out ways to improve their own works. So let's proceed to the agenda of this topic. No? This part of continuous improvement in training is a systematic process that is designed to enhance the quality, relevance, and effectiveness of learning initiatives. No? It's not a single event but an ongoing cycle that ensures training programs evolve with the needs of the organization and its employee. So the first one is establish a data-driven foundation. This is the first step to move beyond guesswork by establishing a systematic or a system for collecting and analyzing data. So this involves defining measurable goals that are specific, measurable, and achievable time-bound goals for the training. For example, na natin po is reduce the number of 15% after the new product training. This means a real impact comes from a realistic approach that includes customer-facing resources, improved internal processes, and data analysis. Also, it emphasizes your training program by hands-on experience and knowledge management that is established by the team. We can gather feedback also by creating a structured feedback mechanism such as post-training surveys and one-on-one meetings with managers to gather insights from employees and stakeholders. Next one is foster a culture of learning. This is a crucial part of the agenda to create an environment where continuous improvement is the norm, not the exception. No? So, this involves encouraging employee involvement and providing ongoing support that ensure that the learning doesn't stop after a training session. It offers resources, coaching, and opportunities for practice to help employees apply new skills on the job. So, before we go deep down on the topic, which is discussed by the next reporter, Nicole Santos.
Good day everyone, I am Nicole Santos. Before we dive into the details, let's see the stage. We'll be exploring core theories focused on boosting efficiency and streamlining processes. These are not just abstract ideas, they're practical tools you can use to make real improvements. So, primary concepts. First is PDCA. Plan, Do, Check, Act, or PDCA is a framework that Edward Deming created and is most often associated with lean manufacturing and is specific to process improvement. It is also referred to as the Deming cycle or Deming wheel. Here's how to use it. First is plan. Identify and define the specific process improvement or opportunities. Number 2 is do. Implement the process improvement changes. Third is check. Evaluate the results or impact of the implemented changes. Number 4 is act. Standardize the change through training or start by the cycle again. So, the second, the 5 whys. This one may remind you of that stage when a toddler can only ask why, but there's an actual reason to do so. The 5 whys is an attempt at root cause analysis or to uncover the reason why a process may be inefficient. It's as simple as it sounds. You ask why 5 times to keep diving deeper into the heart of a problem. By leveraging perspective, you can uncover a lot. So, number 3 is Kanban boards. For visual learners, Kanban boards offer a way to see how processes flow visually. By doing so, it may be easier to pinpoint inefficiencies and make edits to the troublesome aspect of a process. So here's the definition of continuous improvement in training. What is continuous improvement? First thing first, let's define what continuous improvement means. With its roots in manufacturing, continuous improvement is a method that strives to locate opportunities for ensuring efficiency continuously. This involves the assessment of current process, products, and services to ensure that output is maximized and waste is minimized. Continuous improvement benefits internal and external stakeholders from employees to customers and investors alike. But continuous improvement isn't a one-and-done deal that a company performs and then forgets. If the name doesn't give it away, let's drive the fact home. The method is continuous as in it does not have an end. It's a method that becomes a part of a business ongoing operations. You can consider it to be like a way of life rather than something new you might try once. But even though it becomes a part of your business, it still requires strategy and methodology to impact change. Since continuous improvement becomes a way of operating, this means that everyone must be on board. So creating a culture of improvement is a priority to make it work. This can be done by empowering everyone within an organization to understand that they can point out places for development to spark positive change. So here's the continuous improvement cycle. First is understand the challenge. Start by clearly identifying what the problem is, why it exists, and how it affects the training program. So second, identify potential solutions. Think of possible ways to solve the challenge considering both traditional methods and innovative ideas. Third, test the solutions. Apply the solution on a small scale to check if it works before using it for everyone. Then fourth, examine findings and determine next steps. Gather feedback, measure results, and decide whether the solution works well or needs changes. Number 5 is adjust solutions. If the solution did not fully solve the problem, refine it and test again until improvements are achieved. 6. Scale up. Once proven successful, implement the improved solution across the whole training program or organization. Frameworks. PERRR framework. This is a framework that I created and continue to use today. I wanted something simple and easy for everyone throughout the organization to understand and also have the ability to apply the framework outside of the typical lean initiatives. First is plan. We need a documented plan to keep us headed toward our defined SMART goals. We want to identify the resources we'll need to involve, define any potential obstacles, and then brainstorm how to remove those obstacles. 2 is execute. Once we've made our plan, it's time to execute it. We want to make sure we're tracking activities and resources to understand if we're moving closer to or further away from our goals. Number three is review. This is the time to ask what's working and what's not working. Depending on our goals or the size of the initiative, reviews can be done once per quarter or more or less frequently. 4 is revise. We want to be thinking, how do we do more or of what's working well and either eliminate or change what's not working well. This will be done at the same or shortly after our review from the previous step. And last, repeat. Continue until we've reached or exceed our goals. Getting into this cycle once per quarter, especially for larger goals and initiatives, will not only help you stay consistent, but it will improve your communication, leading to an impact on your financial and culture. So, DMAIC framework: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. DMAIC is a framework most often associated with Six Sigma, as well as Lean, and is specific to both quality and process improvement. Here's how to use it. First is define the problem or opportunity. Second, measure the performance. Third, analyze the process and determine the root cause for non-conformance. Improve process by addressing and eliminating the root causes. Control the improved process. So, depending on your specific leadership role within your organization, you may find yourself with more narrow or broader opportunities to apply a continuous improvement cycle. Pick a framework that makes sense for you, your team, and the opportunity you're working on. Implementing any of these frameworks will lead to faster unlocks. The drive growth will help and your organization operate with excellence. So, in core theory 2, advanced concepts. First is lean technology, created by Toyota to optimize its production cycle. Lean improvement is customer focus. It defines what customers value from the process most to determine what can be eliminated from the production of a product to decrease waste and cut costs. 2 is Six Sigma. Six Sigma is a method that focuses on improving the quality of a business processes. It's aimed at limiting the variation in processes to ensure consistency and increase performance. It uses statistics to measure deviations from a defined center line on a control chart. Third is Agile Learning Design. refers to any approach to content development that focuses on speed, flexibility, and collaboration. The term evolved from the software development industry, in which electronic content development has similar characteristics to software development. And fourth, total quality management. With some similarity to Six Sigma, total quality management holds all involved parties responsible for producing quality outputs. It looks to standardize process to reduce errors. So, models. First is Kaizen model. Kaizen model is an approach to creating continuous improvement based on the idea that small ongoing positive changes can reap significant improvements. Typically, it is based on cooperation and commitment and stands in contrast to approaches that use radical or top-down changes to achieve transformation. Kaizen is core to lean manufacturing and the Toyota way. It was developed in the manufacturing sector to lower defects, eliminate waste, boost productivity, encourage worker purpose and accountability, and promote innovation. Second is Value Stream Mapping or VSM. Value Stream Mapping or VSM is defined as a lean tool that employs a flowchart documenting every step in the process. Many lean practitioners see VSM as a fundamental tool to identify waste, reduce process cycle times, and implement process improvement. VSM is a workplace efficiency tool designed to combine material processing steps with information flow, along with other important related data. VSM is an essential lean tool for an organization wanting to plan, implement, and improve while on its lean journey. VSM helps users create a solid implementation plan that will maximize their available resources and help ensure that materials and time are used efficiently. Third is 5S model. 5S model stands for sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. This method results in workplace that is clean, uncluttered, safe, and well organized, which can help reduce waste and optimize productivity. The approach is designed to help build a quality work environment, physically and mentally. 5S achieves a place for everything and everything in its place. The 5S method applies in any work area and is critical to maintaining employee morale and safety. It also is the basis of customers' first impressions. Fourth is theory of constraints. The theory of constraints is a methodology for identifying the most important limiting factor that stands in the way of achieving a goal and then systematically improving that constraint until it is no longer the limiting factor. In manufacturing, the constraint is often referred to as a bottleneck. Principles. First is customer focus. A customer-centric approach is the foundation of continuous improvement. Organizations must understand their customers, their preferences, and their ever-changing needs. By collecting and analyzing customer feedback, organizations can identify areas where their products or services fall short of expectations and actively work towards making improvements. Second is data-driven decision-making. Continuous improvement embraces the power of data to inform decisions instead of relying on gut feelings or intuition. Organizations meticulously gather and analyze relevant data to understand the current state of their processes, identify potential improvements. This data decision-making process not only minimize risk associated with change but also facilitates evidence-based improvements that can be tracked, monitored, and measured, it provides a foundation for clarity and transparency in the decision-making process. So third is process orientation. Rather than focusing on isolated elements or quick fixes, continuous improvement emphasizes a holistic approach to optimizing operations. Organizations map, analyze, and refine their processes, ensuring they are efficient and waste-free. This principle encourages collaboration among team members to identify bottlenecks, streamline workflows, and ensure that every step contributes to the overall value delivered to the customer. By consistently improving process, manufacturers can achieve sustainable long-term excellence. So fourth, employee involvement. In the journey of continuous improvement, employees are not just workers but also essential contributors and co-creators of change. Engaging employees at all levels empowers them to actively identify issues and propose innovative solutions. Their involvement not only unlocks a wealth of knowledge and insights but also fosters a culture of ownership, accountability, and continuous learning. Employees who feel valued and included in improvement initiatives are more motivated to contribute their best, driving the organization forward. So last is leadership support. Leadership plays a pivotal role in fostering this engagement. Effective leaders inspire and facilitate this active participation of their teams in identifying issues and generating innovative solutions. They create an environment where employees feel valued and included, leading to a culture of ownership, accountability, and continuous learning. Leadership that encourages and supports employee involvement unlocks a wealth of knowledge and insights. It also motivates and empowers the workforce to contribute their best, driving the organization forward towards sustained excellence. The plan, do, check, act, or PDCA cycle is a four-step management method used for the control and continual improvement of process and products. First, introduced by American engineer and business theorist William Edwards Deming, the methods has later been widely adopted by organizations implementing a management system compliant with a best practice standard. The general steps are plan, do, check, and act. The first step being to identify a purpose and define the metrics used to measure its success. This is followed by putting the plan into action, followed by analyzing data on its success, or otherwise in meeting the initial goal, and finally acting to implement any changes or improvements. The method has been widely adopted by organizations looking to implement a systematic approach to risk management and when seeking to implement a management system and get it certified to an ISO or other recognized best practice standards.
Everyone, my name is Angel Custodio and I'm here to discuss the practical applications. For the implementation steps, first is the consult stakeholders. So, talk to managers, HRs, at iba pang leaders para malaman kung ano ang skill gaps o at business priorities. First in the list is the establish clear training objectives. Define a specific measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound or yung tinatawag na SMART objectives for each training program. Importante rin na naka-align ng objectives sa organizational goals at sa development need ng employees. Example is kung ang goal ng company ay mas mapataas ang customer satisfaction, dapat ang training objective ay directly related dito. Like, increase customer service satisfaction scores by 10% within 3 months after training. For the implementation steps, first is consult stakeholders. Talk to managers, HRs, at iba pang leader para malaman kung ano ang skill gaps at business priorities. Second is the job objectives using SMART frameworks. Gumawa ng objectives na malinaw at measurable like train 50 employees to use the new system within 2 weeks. Last is the communicate objectives. Tell to trainers and participants the objectives para lahat ay may parehong direction at alam kung ano ang expected outcome. To the list is the collect and analyze feedback. So, mahalaga na pagkatapos ng bawat training session, mag-gather ng feedback mula sa participants at mga trainers at managers. Pwedeng gumamit ng surveys, interviews, at observation para makakuha ng both qualitative or quantitative data. Ang feedback na ito ang magsasabi kung effective ba ang training at kung ano ang dapat i-improve. Example is after ng isang event, nagsisend ng evaluation form para malaman kung nagustuhan ba ng audience at kung may kulang. So, ganun din sa training. Kailangan malaman kung useful ba at kung may dapat ba baguhin. For the steps of implementation, first, the design feedback forms with targeted questions. Like, gagawa ka ng form na may clear na questions tulad ng, was the training content relevant to your job? Or rate the trainer's delivery from 1 to 5. Questions like that. So, second is to distribute forms immediately after training. So, mas maganda kung right after ng session, para fresh pa ang experience ng participants, di ba? Last is the analyze responses. I-review ang results para makita kung sino ang strengths at areas for improvement. So, next is the monitor training outcomes. Kailangan i-track ang key performance indicators or KPIs tulad ng knowledge retention, skill application, at business impact. Gumamit ng assessments, on-the-job observations, at performance metrics para makita kung effective ang training. Ang goal naman dito ay hindi lang matapos ang training, kundi makita kung may real improvement sa performance ng employees. Example is, kung nag-training tungkol sa sales techniques, dapat makita kung tumaas ba ang actual sales numbers ng participants pagkatapos ng training. For implementation steps naman, first is the develop pre- and post-training assessments. So, gumawa ng test bago at pagkatapos ng training para makita ang progress ng participants. Second is monitor participants' performance over time. Obserbahan kung ginagamit ba nila ang natutunan sa actual work task. Last is compare results to training objectives and KPIs. I-check kung na-meet ba ang SMART objectives at kung may measurable impact sa business. For the steps of implementation, first, the design feedback forms with targeted questions. Like, gagawa ka ng form na may clear na questions tulad ng, was the training content relevant to your job? Or rate the trainer's delivery from 1 to 5. Questions like that. So, second is to distribute forms immediately after training. So, mas maganda kung right after ng session, para fresh pa ang experience ng participants, di ba? Last is the analyze responses. I-review ang results para makita kung sino ang strengths at areas for improvement. At makita ang learning trends. i-automate ang feedback collection at reporting para mas mabilis at mas accurate ang data gathering. Sa pamamagitan ng technology, mas nagiging efficient ang training management at mas madaling makita kung saan kailangan ng improvement. Example is, instead of manual attendance at evaluation forms, pwedeng gamitin ng LMS para automatic na ma-record kung sino ang nag-attend, ano ang scores nila, at kung gaano sila nag-progress. So for implementation steps naman, first is integrate training programs with an LMS. I-connect ang training modules sa isang system para centralize ang lahat ng record at materials. Second is set up dashboards to monitor participation and outcomes. Gumawa ng visual dashboards para madaling makita kung ilan ang nag-attend, ilan ang pumasa, at ano ang results. Last is use analytics to pinpoint areas of targeted improvement. I-analyze ang data para malaman kung aling topics ang mahirap para sa participants at kung saan kailangan mag-focus ang trainers. And that's all for my topic. Thanks so much.
Good day everyone, and I am Benedict Joykia, and today I will be talking about continuous improvement in training. Training is not just about teaching skills once, it is about making sure learning improves over time. And with this, I share 5 key area with real world example and success story. First is quality assurance in training, and Toyota Production System, Philippine supplier. Toyota is known worldwide for its strict quality standard. In the Philippines, they apply the same principle to supplier training instead of just giving writing tests. Toyota require workers to show their skill on the actual machine. Trainer closely watch how well workers use what they learn. So, and and this hand on approach lead to a 30% reduction in product defect. Success story of this is uh, after implementing this approach, one supplier reported a 30% decrease in product defect. And this shows that quality assurance in training makes sure that learning lead to real result, not just knowledge. And this shows that when training quality is monitored properly, it lead to real workplace result. The lesson of this is when training is closely watched and applied in practice, organization get consistent and reliable results. Next is feedback system and mechanism. Concentric. When you say concentric is call center BPO industry. In the call center industry, training does not stop after the classroom. At Concentric, employees provide immediate feedback to server and focus group while supervisor also monitor live call. This feedback is analyzed to spot gap in training design, and agent give feedback to server and supervisor monitor to live call, and they need more role play instead of lecture when the program was adjusted, customer satisfaction improved by 15%. Success story of this is one batch of trainee reported that lecture were too intellectual and they wanted more role play scenario to practice customer handling. Uh, and trainer adjusted the module, and soon after, customer satisfaction rating improved by 15%, and this proved that Listening to learner feedback make training more effective. The lesson of this is acting and on it quickly make training more relevant and effective for learner. Next is continuous improvement processes. Singapore General Hospital nurse training. Healthcare training is important and need to keep getting better. At Singapore General Hospital, training program follow the Plan Do Check Act, which means PDCA cycle. Every 6 months, the hospital update training module based on audit results, new medical guidelines, and patient feedback. And when audit show require medication error, the training was redesigned after the update. Mistake dropped by 25% in 1 year. Yes, yeah. Success of this, when aided or repeated medication error, the hospital changed its training to focus on dosage check and patient verification within 1 year. Medication error decreased by 25%. The lesson of this is ongoing improvement keep training relevant, helping professionals stay current with changing need and standard. This shows that continuous updates keep training relevant and improve performance. Next is innovation in training delivery. Cebu Pacific Airlines, Philippines. Airline safety need hand-on practice to boost training. Cebu Pacific introduced visual reality, which means VR for cabin crew. Flight attendants can now practice every emergency situation like evacuation or fire hydrogen in realistic 3D environment instead of just attendant lecture. Uh, and training time was and next is success story of this. Trainer learn for produce more quickly and feel more confident during drill. Training time was cut by 20% and attendance improved their accuracy in safety checks. Lesson: Innovation like VR make training more engaging, efficient, and effective compared to traditional methods. The lesson of this innovation like VR visual reality make training more engaging, efficient, and effective when compared to the traditional method. And last is best practices documentation. UNESCO teacher training Asian origin, which means UNESCO encourage collaboration among educators by collecting and sharing effective practices. Um, and during the pandemic, when the school shift to online learning, Philippine teacher record the creative strategy. They use social media group and interactive quizzes and record lesson and more on technology. The success of story of this is these practices were shared with other Asian countries, helping teachers in the region improve distance learning and students and in in important area particularly benefit from strategies that use affordable tools. The lesson of this is the lesson documenting documenting and sharing effective practices lets successfully learning method be replicated and expanded in other places. By documenting best practices successfully and used for everywhere. And that's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Emmanuel Joshua Dibugais, and now we will talk about why quality assurance matters in training, and how feedback drives improvement, and how innovation makes training more engaging. But first, we will talk about what is quality assurance in training. Quality assurance ensures training is effective, dependable, and impactful within a company. Quality assurance in training revolves creating standards, implementing proactive processes to prevent issues, and conducting regular evaluations to identify areas for continuous improvement, delivery, and outcomes. Today, we will look at how these three elements make training more successful: quality assurance, feedback and improvement, and innovation in training. Importance of quality assurance. Quality assurance, sometimes shortened to QA, is proactive and systematic strategy used by businesses to make sure that their processes, goods, and services continuously exceed or meet specified standards and requirements. Quality assurance benefit and importance 2018. In training, quality assurance refers making sure educational initiatives meet standards while delivering outcomes. Consistency, relevance, and good alignment are among its basic principles. For example, using industry standards ensures that effectiveness and dependability of the training. Here we have a questions. If there is no quality assurance in training program, what do you think would happen? Without quality assurance, training could be a waste of time and energy since trainees won't gain the necessary skills and competency. Even after completing the training, employees may still lack the necessary skills to do their jobs. Next one is feedback and continuous improvements. Here we have some of the types of feedback: surveys, reviews, and peer evaluations. Feedback is necessary for ongoing development. Peer evaluation, performance reviews, and surveys are some of its possible sources. Feedback are important since trainees or trainers won't be able to determine what works and what needs to improve without feedback. A continuous feedback loop is an ongoing procedure whereby staff gives feedback to the organization's leadership, which consider it and takes appropriate actions. Goodsberry 2022. Here, imagine a scenario where a company never asks employees for their feedback on training. What could arise because of this? Or what problems could arise because of this? Trainers won't be able to determine whether the training was clear or helpful without feedback. The trainers won't get or that training won't get better over time and the same errors could possibly be made or the new ones can happen. And here we have innovation in training. Here are some innovation methods, innovative methods: e-learning, blended learning, or simulations. We also have best practices in documentation and knowledge sharing. Innovation is crucial when it comes to stand, is staff training. Standard lectures might not always maintain staff interest. For this reason, a lot of businesses now use blended learning, which blends online and in-person meetings, e-learning modules for flexibility, and role-playing or simulations to practice real-life job scenarios. Documenting processes for training and sharing information so staff members can review and learn regularly are some examples of best practices. I'm sorry. In addition to boosting engagement, this guarantees that workers are prepared for the workforce. Here, let's talk about which training method do you think helps employees learn more effectively? Lectures, e-learning, or hands-on experience? Uh, because employees can immediately use what they learn on the job, hands-on practices or simulation is typically the most effective in employee recruitment. Also, e-learning is a beneficial because it allows employees to study at their own speed. This combination gives the best outcomes for the most of the time. That will be all, and thank you.
For conclusion, we want to highlight that quality assurance in training is not just about teaching, it's about making sure that the whole learning process is meaningful, effective, and sustainable. It is built on four main parts: feedback, continuous improvement, innovation, and best practices. Feedback plays a key role because it gives trainers and learners the chance to reflect on what is working well and what areas need more attention. Continuous improvement, as emphasized by LeanBet 2024, it is very important because it ensures that training is always updated, relevant, and effective. It keeps skills fresh, boosts employees' productivity, and job satisfactions. Help organizations stay competitive and builds a culture where learning never stops. Innovation in training delivery makes learning more interactive, engaging, and enjoyable for participants, which leads to better outcomes. Best practices documentation, on the other hand, ensures that there is consistency and clear standards that guide the training process. When all of these parts came together, we don't just deliver training. We create programs that truly prepare learners for future challenges, strengthen organizational performance, and lead to learning success.